Bam Margera was fired from Jackass Forever. And while some fans were surprised, others believed it was a necessary evil waiting to happen. Despite being part of the team from the beginning, Bam's personal battles with drugs and alcohol regularly created problems, leaving a trail of tension and toxicity in his wake. Join FlickFix as we uncover what led to the breakdown of friendships and why the rest of the Jackass crew decided that they had had enough. Early career. If you're watching this video, you are probably already familiar with Bam Margera and his antics, but just in case you're not, let's take a look at his glory days. Brandon Cole Margera, popularly known as Bam Margera, has been a huge part of the Jackass franchise since the beginning, seeing how he was the lead stuntsman and was also responsible for coming up with some of the ridiculously dangerous stunt and prank ideas the show was known for. The show, which kicked off in 2000 on MTV, introduced the Jackass cast to the world, and they became an instant sensation. The original cast included Bam, Johnny Knoxville, Chris Pontius, Steve-O, Ryan Dunn, and others who were responsible for the stunts, while Jeff Tremaine and Spike Jonze handled the behind-the-scenes aspect of the show. While the show was wildly successful, going on 3 seasons and having different spin-offs over the years, it also garnered a lot of negative press, mainly due to the dangerous and frantic behavior the Jackass cast members were famous for. And smack in the middle of all of this illicit behavior was Bam Margera, who was known to be a raging alcoholic and drug user. This doesn't mean other members of the show were off the hook, as they were just as bad as Bam. In fact, some of them were worse off when it came to alcohol and drug abuse problems, but we'll get to that later. In a nutshell, the problem of alcohol and drug abuse was prominent with Bam and Steve-O, leading to numerous problems behind the scenes and causing a gradual rift between the Jackass family. Bam's alcoholism, as well as underlying mental issues, caused a gradual rift between himself, his family, and the Jackass gang. While filming his reality show, Bam was constantly caught on camera intoxicated or high on prescription drugs, mostly to the point where his character on the show was basically known for being the drunk one. But despite his run with alcohol, Bam was still a big part of the franchise, even landing a couple of his spin-off series from the show. Spiraling out of control. Bam's run with alcohol got even worse after the crew took a break from filming the show. He spiraled down to the point where the Jackass crew and his family had to intervene by pushing him to enter rehab for the first time in December of 2009. Sadly, Bam's first stint with rehab was short-lived, as he couldn't complete the program. Instead of waiting to finish his time there, he checked himself out so he could return to work with the rest of the crew. In 2011, barely 2 years after his first trip to rehab, tragedy struck Bam and the Jackass family when Ryan Dunn was killed in a car accident after driving intoxicated. Bam and Ryan were best friends, and the bereaved Bam later revealed that the death hit him hard, causing him to spiral further into his drinking ways. After Ryan passed, Bam would go on drinking sprees, sometimes for days at a time, to the point where he was hospitalized for drinking just alcohol for 4 days straight. Following his hospitalization, Bam decided to clean up his act, so he checked into several rehab programs over the years but never seemed to stay sober for more than a few months at a time. When he wasn't filming a Jackass movie, Bam was earning money making club appearances, which meant he was drinking a whole lot more. And more often than not, controversial videos of the stuntman getting wasted found their way online. At this point in his life, things got so out of hand that Margera remembers waking up to a puddle of his making. This incident served as a turning point for him, and he decided to stay off drinking for the time being. But even that didn't last. If you think things couldn't get any worse at this point, well, you couldn't be farther from the truth. After getting a DUI in January 2018, Bam was reprimanded to rehab by a judge, and he had to attend a court-mandated alcohol program as well as AA meetings. For a time, it appeared that the judge's method was working because, according to Bam, he was sober for up to 7 months. In these months, the stuntman's bender with alcohol seemed to be taking a turn for the better. Sadly, things went downhill after he was robbed at gunpoint in Colombia later that same year. Going on Instagram, Bam narrated the traumatic ordeal, and it eventually pushed him right back to the bottle again, and his 7-month-long sobriety was thrown down the drain. Bam's relapse might have come as a shock to some people, but to those close to him, it was just another episode on the roller coaster that is Bam Margera. How do we know this? Well, when Bam's former cast member on Jackass and lifelong friend Steve-O was asked about his thoughts on Bam's relapse and whether he thought Bam was clean and sober, he flat out said no. To avoid being misunderstood, Steve-O, who is also a former drug and alcohol addict that has since cleaned up his act and has been clean for well over a decade, explained that he had seen this countless times and he just wants his friend to get help and live a healthy life. Steve-O, who celebrated his 13th year of sobriety back in 2021, gave a shout-out to his Jackass director and friend Johnny Knoxville for his unending support throughout the years. The beginning of the end. By the time 2020 rolled around, Bam's on-again, off-again relationship with alcohol and rehab in conjunction with his online rants left his place in the forthcoming Jackass 4 movie hanging by a thread when filming started. However, it wasn't until February of 2021 that he was officially fired for allegedly breaking his contract with Paramount Studios. His contract, which was set up due to his proclivities with alcohol, required him to take breathalyzers every few hours, take his antidepressants medication in front of Paramount executives, and submit to regular drug tests.
Jackass has put me through hell. I had to wake up every day with a handful of antidepressant pills that I would have to show Paramount pictures that I took them and swallowed them every single day.
Following the announcement of him being fired from the production, Bam took to social media to tell fans to boycott the movie when it was released.
I'm not in Jackass 4. If anybody cares about me, don't go see their movie because I will make mine way radder if you just Venmo me $1. Just $1.
In another post, the former Jackass star talks about how the studio and his friends forced him to sign a bogus contract that not only demeaned him as a person but also prevented him from taking Adderall, which he had been taking for over a decade for ADHD. Bam, who is now suing Paramount Studios and the entire Jackass team, claims in his suit that they strung him along for over a year and reduced him to signing a contract that took away his rights, only to fire him in the end. His Jackass teammates Knoxville and Tremaine responded to the lawsuit in a document that pretty much sums up to, all he had to do was not get high, and he would have made it into the movie. The case remains in court, and only time will reveal the final outcome of Bam's tragic career with Jackass. Now, it's time to hear from you. Do you think Bam deserved to be kicked out of Jackass, or does he deserve to still be a part of the team? Let us know in the comments below, and before you go, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to FlickFix if you haven't already.